Our next laureate is Robert G. Pugh. Robert, I wrote this, so if there's any problems, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Robert is a lifelong resident of Shreveport. After attending LSU, he returned home looking for a job. He found one, but that turned into something greater and bigger. He eventually started his own marketing company. In the last 4 decades, it has grown from a company of just 2 people to a company of more than 100 employees in 4 offices in Texas and Louisiana, working with customers like Brookshire's, Oxner LSU Health, BRF, Icy, and so many more that we just can't name them all. As managing partner of Rolf Pugh Agency, Robert has mentored most of us on the art of the message. However, for Robert, family comes first, followed by his employees, followed by the LSU Tigers, followed by the Dallas Cowboys, followed by his game of golf.
Robert is definitely a man of character. He has great virtues. He is someone who is selfless, and so it's not all about him, about his family, his business. He goes out into the community, shares himself.
Robert Pugh is my father. He is my boss. He is my mentor. He is my therapist at times. He was my coach, and he continues to be my best friend.
Dad has always been a mentor for me. He's played a lot of roles in my life. He was my softball coach. He's now my boss. But most importantly, his role has always been dad. He's always put family first.
He's very faithful. He's very honest. He's very giving. He's really funny. And he can really rock a mustache.
I look back on my life. Basically, I had 2 parents that were great role models. And the things I learned from them, I watched my dad. He was a very hardworking ear, nose, and throat doctor and renowned surgeon, ear surgeon. And what he really had a passion for was helping people. And the thing that I watched, that I don't think I've ever met a more honest and more ethical person. And he basically taught me just doing the right thing.
Well, Robert's very compassionate. He's very interested in taking care of people, regardless of where they are, wherever he encounters them in his life. He and I were very involved at Loyola College Prep, where I followed him as being chairman of the board. And the principal of the school at the time thought that Robert and I, in most of the meetings, were very sophomoric. That said, I think that we were able to accomplish a lot of good at Loyola College Prep during the time that we were involved on the board there. And Robert just has the unique ability to be nice and kind and insightful to get things done without offending anyone.
What makes Robert a unique boss is Robert cares about his employees. I know everyone says this. He really becomes invested in his employees, and it shows with the company. Right now, we're over 100 employees. We're in 4 offices: Shreveport, Tyler, San Antonio, and Baton Rouge. Robert makes it work for his employees, and they get the job done, and that's what's important.
What is the most important thing for your success? And that is surrounding myself with really good, smart people, trustworthy people, putting them in a position to succeed and letting them shine. I mean, I use a lot of the same philosophies I learned through sports. I coach a lot of baseball. I coach my son, I coach my daughter in softball. And I learned this as a kid playing sports. It feels good to be part of a team. And it even feels a little better to be part of a winning team. But the magic bullet, the magic dust that really motivates someone to work hard and to do well is to feel like you're contributing and bringing value to that winning team.
I think for any executive, the top tier is leading by example. Don't do as I say, do as I do. And Robert leads by that example. As I said, if a job needs to get done, he's there in the trenches. He's working alongside the account service team, even working alongside the creative team to get that job done.
He likes to make sure the work gets done. He wants to meet the client's goals, but he kind of has his heart on his sleeve. Not a single employee at our office can tell you that he doesn't care, because he does. Like, they know he cares about their own personal career success. For clients, he always cares about, meeting their goals, making sure they're happy. He puts his employees and his clients above himself. But he also makes them know that he cares. It's not just about business, it's about personal relationship. That's really cool to see as a work environment and not just as my dad. He shows those in both aspects of life, that, relationships are really important, and that's how you succeed, is by building relationships with people and not just, okay, this is a job, we're gonna do the job and it's over. It's building a trust and a foundation with people.
Community involvement is very important. Of course, now you're talking to a Catholic priest, where I as well wish to help everyone realize that they're not just members of their own little particular family, but they're members of a community and ultimately extended members of the family of God. And if we're supposed to look to one another and see a brother and a sister, and this is one of the things that Robert is able to do. Robert just naturally is able to share himself and to strive for the betterment of all the people whom he comes into contact with.
The common thread that Robert has exhibited in his career is that he's always focused on the community and his employees. And as we've advanced and become more and more involved in the community, and because of our age, find ourselves more and more in leadership positions, Robert has always carried more than his share of the burden. He understands Louisiana. He's committed to it. On several fronts, he's been a big supporter of the North Louisiana Economic Partnership, of Loyola College Prep, of the Committee of 100, of several other community-minded ventures. And all of those Robert's very committed to, and using his own particular skill set to make the entire community better.
My philosophy is that no one is successful on their own. We all need a little help along the way. And looking back, I've been very, very fortunate and blessed to have so many awesome people cross my paths or come into my life at really pivotal times in my life, whether it's a teacher or a coach or a friend or a loved one or maybe even a colleague. It is who's given me encouragement or some sound advice at just the right moment that helps me stay on track or get on track. And I look back and it's really interesting, because I feel like it seems like some of these encounters are almost random or coincidental. And I wonder, God, what if that hadn't happened? Would I still made the right decision? So, in thinking about that, it makes me really believe how important and understand how important the mission of the Junior Achievement is, because the Junior Achievement is very intentional in providing opportunities of mentorship and of encouragement and offering advice to these young people at a critical time in their life that helps them be successful.
Junior achievement is important. We're not going to be here forever. So it's important that we give the younger generation the tools that they need, that they can keep the economy of Northwest Louisiana still rolling long after we're gone.
That's why junior achievement is just so important, to mentor these children, and I'm just so proud that Robert's been chosen for this.
The mission of the Junior Achievement is, I think, more important today than it's ever been. It's easy for young kids, I think, to get distracted, and I think it's important to talk about a lot of those basics, fundamentals in business and economics, or sometimes get lost with all the other noise out there. And I think so. That's what the Junior Achievement is great. It's kind of a program that grounds them back into the fundamentals of learning all the basic skills, the soft skills, as well as just how to communicate, how to be sociable. And I think some of the skill sets are lost in the generation that spends all their time texting and all their time looking at their phones. I think that's one of the things I love, the face-to-face and personal time that the Junior Achievement, the volunteers and staff give to these kids. And I think it's really paying dividends.
Well, I think that Robert, because of his demeanor, because of his sensitivity, because of his community leadership, because of his deep faith, is an ideal candidate for the Junior Achievement Hall of Fame Laureate award that he's receiving here tonight.
Robert, I want to congratulate you on getting this Junior Achievement Award. It's very big, very, very big honor for you, and I'm so, so very proud of you. And I love you, and congratulations.
I'm really proud of my dad, and I know he's honored to have this award. So, he's very deserving, and I couldn't think of it happening to a better person, and he really deserved it. Dad, I'm really proud of you, and I love you.
I just want to say congratulations, Dad, on your achievements and your accomplishments. I couldn't be more proud, and we love you dearly, and continue the good work.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Rolf Pugh Agency and all of our employees, it's my pleasure to introduce our friend, our boss, and your 2022 Junior Achievement Laureate, Mr. Robert Pugh.
Wow. Don't tell Ed, but he's pretty good at this. Okay. Talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. My goodness. But I asked my good friend, Steve Scrivanis, to give me some advice about delivering this speech tonight, because he did it last year. And he gave me 3 pieces of advice. He said, make sure to write it down, make sure to rehearse it, and make sure to time it out so you know how long it's going to be. And I said, I did all that, and my speech time's out at 6 minutes, but that doesn't take into consideration any time for spontaneous applause or ovations. And Steve said, good, that means it will be 6 minutes. Some of your friends are mentors and some are just tormentors. But seriously, first I'd like to thank the Junior Achievement Laureates and the board for allowing me to be a part of this prestigious group. It is truly and certainly a great honor. And it's a privilege to share this evening with Linus and with Graham, 2 of the community's most admired and valued leaders. So it begs the question, what am I doing here? And the answer is I had a lot of help. And you heard me talk about that in that video. I've forgotten what I said on that video. I'm going to repeat some of that probably tonight. But really, I want to share, like I said, I've had a lot of help, and there's been so many people throughout my life who have offered support. And I'd like to share one instance with the story, one story. And it's a baseball story, but it's really much more than that. And it takes place back in 1963, 64, when I was in 3rd grade at St. Joseph's School here in Shreveport. I was the youngest and smallest kid in the class by a lot. I was a pretty average student, painfully shy, and not very athletic. Needless to say, I was not on any of these desirable, most likely to do lists. But then this new kid moved to town. His name was Mike Gamble. Arthur, you remember Mike Gamble. He moved to town from Dallas, Texas, and he was a tall, athletic, and a straight-A student, very outgoing. We had absolutely nothing in common except for one thing. His desk happened to be right next to mine. Long story short, we became great friends. And I found out quickly Mike loved sports. He was obsessed with sports. So I really had no choice but to learn to love sports too. But as I mentioned, I wasn't very athletic. I was the least athletic member of a very athletic family. And I'm sure my siblings won't argue with me on that. My favorite hobby back then was watching TV. Of course, my wife Barbara says that's still my favorite hobby, but that's a different discussion for a different time. Anyway, Mike Gamble, he was bound and determined to help me get better at sports. So we played and practiced every weekend as well at school recess. I mean, it was baseball, football, basketball, depending on the season, we were playing. And with time, I discovered that I had a decent hand-eye coordination, and I got so I could at least throw and catch a ball. But I was still a scrawny, awkward little kid without a lot of confidence. So fast forward the next year, 4th grade, Mike convinces me to play on the 4th grade baseball team, summer baseball team. And I'd never played on an organized team. And can you imagine being, 9 years old and never played an organized sport these days? That's incredible. But Mike wanted me to try out, so I tried out. And Mike was a big left-hander, so naturally he played first base. So I wanted to play second base. I mean, number one, I had my good friend right next to me, the comfort of my best friend playing first base. And number two, it was the shortest throw to first base and the only chance I had of playing infield. Our two coaches were volunteer sophomore high school kids from Jesuit High School, one named Jack Touchstone, and the other was named Tony Callantone. Some of you may know those names. They were at Jesuit High. Community service was a requirement to graduate at Jesuit. So they were getting a bunch of community service hours by coaching our team that summer. And looking back, Jack Touchstone, Coach Touchstone, was just a kid himself. But he took his coaching job seriously, and he really, really tried to work hard with me. And he knew I wanted to be a second baseman. Well, the first game comes around, and I'm in the starting lineup. I'm batting ninth, and I'm the starting second baseman, and very excited and terrified all at the same time. And around the third inning, a left-hander hits a ground ball right to me. And I pick it cleanly, turn and throw to first, and plenty of time to beat the runner. All good, except the throw was about 10 feet wide of first base. A runner scores, the batter gets all the way to second. All I could hear were the parents and fans groaning in the bleachers, and my good friend Mike just looked at me incredulously and said, "Robert, why'd you do that?" I didn't have an answer, Mike, and I don't remember much else about what happened that game, but I know we lost. And I was delegated to playing the outfield the rest of the season. So you see, here I am batting ninth in the order, and I either walked or struck out 90% of the time. I think I had a couple ground outs to the catcher, but but other than that, I was not very productive at the plate. And since the ball rarely made it to the outfield, I wasn't making much of an impact for the team in the field either, so I wasn't off to the greatest start in my sports career. And I made it through that season to the final game, and we hadn't won a single game all year, but we were playing well that night. The stars were aligned or something, and the score was tied late in the game, and I was playing center field, and the opposing team has the bases loaded with 2 outs. And of course, you guessed it, the batter hits a fly ball out to left center field. I immediately take a quick glance at the left fielder to see if he was going for the ball, hoping and begging he was going for the ball. But he was standing there looking at me, and so I was it. So I took off running for the ball, and it seemed like forever. But I was so slow that maybe it was only a dozen steps or so. And just as I realized I was going to get there in time to make the catch, I stumbled just for a second. And I lost sight of the ball just right as it hit off my glove. I get my balance, and I immediately start searching the ground for the ball to get it back in the infield, when out of the corner of my eye, I saw the ball. It was stuck in the webbing of my glove. The umpire signals out. The inning's over. The crowd went wild, and I began a mad dash to the dugout with the biggest smile across my face. Coach Jack Touchstone, he met me near the pitcher's mound with a smile just as big. And he picked me up above his head in celebration as all my teammates cheered and patted me on the back. And I'll never forget that feeling. It was a magical moment that changed my life. It was that moment when I realized that it was not enough to just be part of a team. I wanted to contribute and bring value to that team. I wanted to contribute to a winning team. And I wanted to feel that way again. And when Coach Touchstone picked me up with sheer joy, he validated that feeling. That validation is what's motivated me to work harder and get better. And it's the same motivation that I use with the young kids I coached throughout the years. And truthfully, it's the same method I try to incorporate in the professional world, managing or leading teams. You try to put a team member in a position to succeed, and then make sure to recognize and reward that success, and that's how you keep a team motivated. I mean, it's really remarkable for me to think that a new kid whose desk happened to be next to mine, and a high school sophomore, volunteer coach who made a big deal of that lucky catch, could have such an impact on my life. And I know all of you here tonight will likely have similar stories of coaches, teachers, family, or friends who have offered just the right piece of advice or encouragement at just the right moment to help you through a pivotal time. But more importantly, it's very likely that you've been that special support to someone else. Hopefully someone's telling impactful stories about us, because we all have that gift to inspire. But the real gift is to ourselves when we see the smile on that young person's face that we have helped succeed, which is what Junior Achievement does every day for the youth of this community, and is why it is such an important organization to support. I was fortunate to have that kind of support for so many people throughout my life. Coaches, teachers, spiritual leaders. I'm looking at you, Peter. Family members, especially my brothers and sister, and all your spouses. You guys all married very well, and you always had my back. Thank you for that. My business partner, Jeffrey. My office family. I learn from you guys every single day. Special shout out Chelsea for talking me off the ledge from time to time. And my friends, so many of you that are here tonight, you have been my life support. You have no idea how much you mean to me. Special thank you to my kids, Gray, Chase, and to you, Jen and Eric. You guys remind me every day of what is really important in life. And of course, my wife, Barbara, the love of my life, the greatest blessing the good Lord has ever given me, and the biggest reason that I'm standing here tonight. With all my heart, thank you, my love. And thank you all for being here tonight, sharing this evening with us. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 Junior Achievement Laureate, Mr. Robert Pugh.